World of YouTube, Terrified here with another video on I'm gonna say, some schooling. Hardcore schooling. I've said this before in the past, and I think it's honestly time to say that people should start really getting some schooling. And I'm not talking about the afternoon show program back in the 80s that used to come on of teens getting pregnant. I don't want to look at that face no more. But this is a sad, poor excuse of, people having kids and then later on down the road, due to the fact that we have a 5-year-old, an 8-month, and a 3-year-old, down the line want to just say, I've had enough. This needs to end. This woman pleaded not guilty. This is, very close to home. This is in Massachusetts. Of course, lately, geez, man, been having a lot of Massachusetts murders around here. Especially the guy with his wife and the other guy with his wife, or whatever the hell happened, but and this is where, the hammer of the justice, throne needs to really be thrown down very hard and heavy. Now, there's one thing in this that rules out any mental illness, whatever this woman and defense team is trying to throw out. Due to the fact of me being in a family of mental illness, I have a lot of experience with mental illness. And I can guarantee you what this woman has done has got nothing to do with mental illness. It's got to do with stupidity and not being properly trained, which I think people should be, in parenting. Because, if anybody, and as they say, that women get these depressions of having a baby. I mean, there should be ways to stop this before it even happens. And yes, they do have education for, sex, parenting. But to me, it's not enough. What I think needs to be happen is the real hardcore reality of what it's going to be like to having a baby. I mean, first off, if you start off at them Le Mans classes and you're doing your breathing, you got to be pounded in the head of what it's going to be like of feeling the pain of delivering a baby, right? I mean, I'm sure they do that. But of course, there needs to be more training, and not only that, but what that kid's going to be like when it comes out. Well, it's going to be a colic baby, constantly crying. Some people get lucky and the baby does nothing at all. But when later on it gets to them later years, terrible twos as they call them, well, it don't even have to be terrible twos, it could be the terrible ones. All in all, when my last son came out, it wasn't just up until the terrible twos. It was right when he came out. It was bad. And having my 3 other kids, which one was laid back. I had one son, well, 2 sons, but one of them was more, laid back than the other, but the other one was good. But he had his moments. And then the first one, was just all over the place. And, I never expected, to have what I have, but I knew from watching other people's kids, babies, as growing up, let alone watching my two nephews, just to get some babysitting money or drinking money back in the day when I started my drinking problem. And I didn't mind babysitting, but when I started, yeah, getting into the realization of what babies are like, waking up in the middle of the night screaming. You jump. I mean, I've had them episodes and it's like, whoa. 15, 16 years old jumping up to a screaming kid. And you don't, and you gotta remember, oh shit, I gotta get the bottle, or what happened? Did he fall? Or you're hopping around, you're looking. And when you pick the baby up, it's just one of them things that, yeah, it could want to eat. It could want to just to be cuddled. But all in all, if you don't have them patience, if you don't have the smarts, you're not going to make it in the world of child care. I'm sorry. And this woman here clearly didn't. Whatever her cruel intentions were, she literally, definitely should have not have kids. I'm sorry, because she was not properly trained. And I think there should be just a school alone to start you off from the very beginning. To hell, maybe even bring in kids that are terrible twos and to watch them within, a week's time or a month of schooling, I think would be enough to, prepare a woman or a man to say, are you ready to do this? And I mean, there should be kids that could be brought in and put in an observing room, and you pay people to bring their kids in that literally, drive you nuts. And I mean, yeah, if you ain't got the patience, nor the skills, nor the, how can I say it? Nor if you don't have, the quickness, or even, being drained from being up all night. If you can't do these things, then you have no business having kids. Because all kids, when they come out, they're not the same. They all have their different personalities, especially from birth. I mean, like I said, my first son was off the charts. My wife, dealt with a lot of that. My second son was there, but, aggravated a little as a child, as a baby. But when he got older, he got more, curious and more, and then it all just hell broke loose around 4 or 5. My third son was the best. I can say, not to be having any favorites, because I don't have favorites, but he was the most easiest kid, somewhat in the beginning and up till now. But the last child of mine is one that gave me the run for the money. And like I said, if you're not prepared, just like I wasn't prepared, and for 5 years, and I've said this before, 4 to 5 years, I only got 3 hours of sleep. And I was working, coming home, dealing with the kids, doing everything outside the box, to spend time with the kids, and then sleep, eat, wake up, and repeat. For good 5 years, I could say, I only had 3 hours sleep a night for 5 years with my last kid, and he was the most roughest one for me too. And my wife couldn't even handle that. So I mean, it just got to the point, yeah, when he got to school and everything, it was even just as bad there. Running out of class, I had to go in early care just to sit with this kid and like Head Start. So there's a lot of challenges. And when you're used to my third oldest son not being as rowdy, but he had his moments. He wasn't the perfect baby, but he was mellow and more, better than the other ones. But when that last one came along, I was like, what the hell did I do having kids? And I'm still having challenges up to this day with him. But it is smoothing out a little. I had a principal at the high school for my second oldest son. I don't know, he praised me because he has 3 kids. And he sat in his office as I'm having a meeting for my son acting out in school, almost screwing up his whole life of not finishing high school. He said, I don't know how you do it. And everything I've done, said, and, what I got out of this with my second oldest son, I had a principal praising me. Here's a man with a degree. Here's a man with probably a bachelor's degree. Here's a man running a school. Here's a man that, keeps tight nip on each and every one of them students, especially the ones that misbehave, but he's praising me for the work I'm doing just with my son and don't know how I do it with 3 other kids, and I don't know. I take that to heart, but there is one thing, that I think that people also need. Rather than just an education, you need the street smarts too. And that's what I had when I had my kids. I did have the street smarts because I fed myself educated knowledge of how it was to take care of kids or babies or whatever, because I did that. And, just for babysitting. Learned a lot. Do's and what not to do's. So, all in all, I can say is I did a good job. And I had the, intuition or the instinct to manage, something like this. But a lot of people don't, and this woman don't. And the most of all important thing in this case that, turns me away from mental health, because this woman don't have no mental health. Seems to me she has like a little attention span. I need the attention. I'm getting no attention. And now that all this is going down, and there's some mental health there, but to use it to say she didn't want to get her kids out of the way, to me, no. Because no mental person in their right mind would stop to think or to speak as she was texting her husband early in the morning. A mental person wouldn't have brought their child, as it says, into this case. The day started with this woman bringing one of her kids to a pediatrician and then returning home to play with in the snow with her other kid. Mental patients and mental people with mental illness, like this woman is saying, does not do this. They shut down everything around them and nothing exists to them. She also claims that she had a voice in her head and a man telling her, you need to kill your kids and yourself. Well, she didn't do a damn good job of killing herself. It's just too bad she didn't. Because now everything is coming out of the woodwork. She had a diary of premeditation of this murder. And not only that, the main thing, like I keep saying, is that she searched how long does it take someone to get from my house, as in hers, to this local store And it gave her an estimated time of 10 minutes. And not only that, she called and texted or called her husband and told him she wanted to get out to eat food, which a mental person would not do that. Once again, anybody that's got severe depression would shut down, would not care, would not even care that the kids are screaming in the background. And this woman literally is doing things intentionally and, definitely made herself look bad, especially mental illness of her criteria would require not to write in a diary. Another thing, you cannot sit there and write your entries of, what you're going to do because you are not with reality. They also say she was taking 12 medications. And to say that, one of them, Prozac, leads you to hallucinations, and taking Seroquel, which I know from experience that drugs you out. That, let alone that pill, Seroquel, makes you want to do nothing but want to lay down, shut your eyes. And I took that pill, not prescribed, a long time ago, and I wanted nothing to do with nothing. I wanted to be left alone. I didn't want to be in the car driving that day, and it just made me sit back. I wanted to do nothing. And for this woman to do what she did and strangle her kids, then try and jump out of a window to get herself of demise is BS. Because if she was on Seroquel and this other drug, or even 12 of them, this woman would be a friggin' vegetable. Just sitting there with drool coming out of her mouth. And there's no chance in hell that many drugs in your system would anybody be capable of taking 3 kids, and obviously 2 of them were watching one of them getting killed because they were all in the basement screaming. And I'm sure she started with the oldest one, but the second oldest one is what? Bear with me, I just gotta check that again. 3. Oh no, sorry, 5, 3, and 8 months. So I'm sure the first one, the 5-year-old got it first. But I'm sure the 3-year-old wasn't liking seeing what they were seeing. And, it's just insane. And that's why I think everybody, who wants children really needs to go to a hardcore education. Which that means you will be put in a month program to watch. And I would make it where, and if it was my decision, I would have someone with a newborn, very colic, and then in another room, a calm baby, but yet still the baby, would be not only calm, but still have a little issues with it. And then I would have people sit in that room and watch, what unfolds. Then you go up to the 1 to the 2-year-olds, and this would go on for a month. And you would have to sit there and observe and, take notes. And you would have a 2-year-old that would have, issues, but is calm. And then you have a 2-year-old that's freaking off the charts. Climbing here, grabbing this, running outside. It would be a setup of, observation for each and every individual to say, do you want to do this? Do you think you can handle this? Because not only did this woman, I think, was unfit to have children, she was a friggin' doctor or a nurse. She was interacting with lots of people, but yet everything around her, and had lots of friends, had lots of patients, I guess. Everything around her revolved around her, and now the 3 children come in. And to me, it looked like a life of selfishness. And to me, having that 3rd child must have slowed her career down. And that's probably when she started sitting back and saying, wow, I ain't in the spotlight no more. And that's exactly what I think this is, of one of them cases. Person not in the spotlight no more. Somebody's in the way, whether it be an ex-husband or an ex-girlfriend or, vice versa. Somebody's in the way, say like Chris Watts, somebody's in the way type thing. Spotlight ain't on them. Their life is starting to get more complicated, and boom. It's not a mental health issue. It's called midlife crisis. And that, let alone a midlife crisis, can lead you to do the most damnedest things. So, yeah. But all in all, that's my thoughts, theories, and ideas on this, and I think they should throw the book at this woman. There's a thing called safe haven. There's a thing called, put yourself away for a few months if you have to gather your thoughts and redirect yourself, and not sit in your house and have your husband home running your errands or doing your work because you want, the attention from him. And where was he working? This guy had to stay home now to watch his wife. And even if he was working, here we have a woman that's mentally ill, supposedly, but yet sending her husband out on errands and stuff. That don't fly with me. You go do this, I want out to eat food. Mental people do not do that. Mental people, once again, shut down, don't want nothing to do with the world. And, she would have been sitting in a bed somewhere, just, and the husband would be asking her, what do you want to eat, honey? What do you want to do, honey? Nothing. I don't want to eat nothing. That's a mental person. And with the full-blown, straight, strong depression, seriousness, illness of depression would lead you to want nothing to do with nothing. And sometimes lately, I've been getting in my modes with my depression, and that's exactly how I feel. I don't want to kill myself. I don't want to kill my family. I want to be left alone. I want to wither up in my own hole. And, sometimes I see things happening. And like I said, I've been going through a lot myself, and I just don't want to look at... There's a perfect song, Great White, I Don't Want to Face the Day. If anybody has never heard that song, check it out. And you will, hear some lyrics, pretty deep lyrics, to where I don't want to face the day. Perfect song for someone with the true meaning of depression. And if this woman had that, she wouldn't have been doing what she was doing. And what really blows the top off the kettle of the teapot, her searching how far is it from this here to there. How long does it take? If you're not searching up that for cruel intentions, you know what? Yeah, there's nothing wrong with you mentally ill-wise. You're just sinisterly evil. Something snapped in your mind, and it's a midlife crisis. Because you want everything dead. You don't want everything away from you. Leave me alone. You want things dead. Two different things. So with that being said, Hope they throw the book at this woman. And I think there should be more education. It's of its own schooling. You know what? Skip college. If you want a family, get your ass into a 1-month program and watch different walks of life. You need to have everything of any walk of life to show you that that could easily happen to you. And if it does, you got to make the right choices. If you're going to live with that for the rest of your life, even to get up to the teenage years and watch rebellious teenagers, that would be something in that program too. You know, every step of life, age of life, shown to you. If it takes more than a month, then so be it. But that, I think, is what really needs to be taking place right now. Not, you know, there's no handbooks, there's no directions, there's no nothing when you go and have kids. It's pop it out, here you go home and figure it out. I mean, you can read books and you can read anything, child psychology, anything you want, but nothing's going to teach you out of that book more stronger than street smarts. Having the pure example put in your face, like what I have just explained. You need to see the truth, not just the functions of how you do it, but you need to see the reality of how you do it. Not just the, oh, do it this way. And it ain't always like that. You just can't go on one book. Because that book, I'll tell you right now, don't have the knowledge of what the reality would bring of seeing it first on hand. So, till that next video, folks, be safe. Take care. Out.